Now, there's no doubt about it that when we look back at what happened with the sequel trilogy films, it really left a lot of fans very confused and very much, gaining a lot of criticism on J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson and what they did with episodes 7 through 9, and it really created a divide between the fandom. But where we stand today, thankfully Jon and Dave are on a course-correct path to really kind of bring Star Wars back together, to bring the fandom back into one, and to eventually reach that goal. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe between George, Jon, and Dave is that they are all on a very big mission right now, a very big goal in mind, to not only change history within the Star Wars franchise, but to also incorporate beloved aspects of Star Wars legends. We're talking about aspects from the Thrawn trilogy, which, by the way, I do suggest that you guys go ahead and read that, the New Jedi Order books, Shadows of the Empire. I mean, there's so much material from the 90s leading into the 2000s, and eventually, by the way, into the early 2010s even, where in 2013, Legends actually came to a close. Now, on top of all of this, there's a lot of changes coming our way by Favreau and Filoni, a lot of which has to do with, of course, changing Star Wars history when it comes to using a specific realm in the Star Wars franchise. And we're going to get into the major details about all of this, what Favreau and Filoni have been storyboarding over at Lucasfilm, and all the plans that are being made as of right now for a specific Star Wars TV show that's going to have a big impact on some of the Skywalker saga films. So, with sets already being pre-planned for The Mandalorian 4, based on storyboards and scripts for the show created so far, Jon and Dave are actively developing something massive that will change history within the Star Wars franchise. One of the big plans that both Jon and Dave have right now is to develop a second season for the Ahsoka Tano series that they want to release sometime by 2024 and or 2025 that is going to heavily feature new secrets about the world between worlds. Using the realm, Jon and Dave are set to course correct many aspects of the sequel trilogy movies that will change the stories of Luke Skywalker, Rey, Ben Solo, and Palpatine as well all around. Specifically, what Favreau and Filoni are aiming to do in the sequel trilogy films is that they are going to completely change the reason why Luke went into exile on Ahch-To. This, in turn, is said to have to do something big with the character of Mara Jade. Favreau and Filoni are about to make it canon that Luke Skywalker had a wife, Mara Jade, and how, of course, just like in Legends, was killed by Kylo Ren during the temple burning scene. So for those of you that don't really know anything about Mara Jade, this was an actual character that was basically an assassin working for Palpatine, set out to destroy Luke, and eventually she turns against Palpatine, joins Skywalker, they develop a actual relationship and get married and have a son called Ben Skywalker. And that's pretty much where the inspiration of Ben Solo came from, in a different way, of course. But when we look at it like this, of how Ahsoka Season 2 is being set up to heavily use the world between worlds, that's going to essentially course correct Luke Skywalker's path and his life, to essentially finding Mara Jade and really kind of creating a family, and eventually herself meeting her demise by the hands of Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren, that's going to send Luke into exile. So this is basically Favreau and Filoni's big retcon of The Last Jedi, so to speak. The reason being why Luke Skywalker went into hiding. Now, for those of you that read the Rise of Kylo Ren comics, you do get a little glimpse at Luke Skywalker's Jedi in training. Those two will be changed and drastically altered by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. So there's going to be a lot more students joining his academy, as well as some of the already existing ones getting a massive redesign in the upcoming lore. Now, the thing about this too, that a lot of fans are going to be very confused about is exactly how does the world between worlds work? Alright, so for those of you that don't really know about that, it is a very complex realm. When you guys go ahead and study about all of this in Star Wars Rebels Season 4, and how it does involve the netherworld of the Force to a degree, and even the versions of the Force, by the way, the world between worlds is kind of like time travel, but it's kind of not. It's a very unique thing that Dave Filoni came up with. George Lucas, by the way. George Lucas endorsed this idea by Dave Filoni, and that's what I like about this. So basically, you actually see through a portal window at a specific key moment in time, and you can interact with that point in time and change the events of history. So you're not physically going back in time, but you're able to witness a moment back in time and alter events of the past. That's basically Filoni's way of time travel. You're not actually going to the past physically, but you're able to see it and interact with it, if that makes sense. Just like in Star Wars Rebels. Moving on. Now, Favreau and Filoni are about to make it canon that Ben Solo and Mara Jade fought in a lightsaber duel where Mara Jade met her demise. This was all storyboarded and originally meant for Ahsoka Season 1, but now that a Season 2 is in the cards, they are saving it for that scene. In Legends, Mara died by Jacen Solo from getting poisoned. Here, John and Dave will end her journey at the hands of Ben Solo in combat. The World Between Worlds, however, is going to play a role in Ahsoka Season 2 on how Luke meets Mara Jade and how time is going to shift around. Mara Jade is already planned to be portrayed by actress Karen Gillan, and another actress to play her older self as well. So, the other thing that I do want to go over here that's going to be very important is that what John and Dave are set out to do right now is that they are set to course correct the sequel trilogy and the story of Luke using the World Between Worlds. Now, like I said, in Rebels Season 4, so far it was only set up that aspects of the future cannot really be altered, but it's all about the past. It's all about looking into the past or looking at a point in time. Now, they want to change that. They want to also make it that you can see through the windows of certain portals that look into the future as well. And that was kind of hinted at in Rebels Season 4, where you hear the voices of Kylo Ren, you hear the voices of Rey, and that just makes all the more sense. So, that would in turn allow them to also change events of the future. Now, John and Dave are putting it out there very clear that there are going to be a lot of ground rules, a lot of rules that pertain to the World Between Worlds and how much you can really change using that realm without creating a catastrophe, right? So I think that's also an out-universe answer as to why you can't really meddle with the World Between Worlds too much, because then you can just change anything at any given point in time within the Star Wars franchise, right? So that would kind of like devalue everything. So there are limits, there are going to be constraints on what you can do in the World Between Worlds, so just be aware about all of that, but they are course-correcting aspects of the sequel trilogy films, without a doubt. So, with that being said, guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video. I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and check me out on there, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.